In today's video, I wanted to share with you a few of the ways that I like to customize Frescobaldi to better fit my workflow. At the moment, I'm on my KDE desktop, but these settings apply to all operating systems. First on the list is color schemes. So let's open up Frescobaldi. Now the first thing you'll probably notice is that the background color of my code window is not the default white color, but more of a dark monotone blue color. This is because I prefer to use what's called a Solarized color scheme. I based this scheme off of the color palette from Ethan Schoonever. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. His Solarized is the best I've come across, and I only had to make a few small changes in the palette to get this to look good in Frescobaldi. For those of you who spend a lot of time in front of a computer monitor, either programming or spending time in the terminal, I highly recommend trying out a Solarized color scheme. Your eyes will be much less strained at the end of the day. To give you an idea of how this theme looks, let's open up a template. This is how my Solarized color scheme looks. You'll notice that the most important things, like the music and the variables, are very clear, very easy to see where everything is at a glance. For me, this is much easier on my eyes compared to the default theme. Now there is one thing missing in this template, and that's comments. So I'll open up another demo file. I set up comments to sort of look like an off-green, whitish color. If you'd like to try out my modified Solarized theme, I'll show you how to do that now. To change the color scheme, come up here to Edit, Preferences, come down here to Fonts and Colors, and here is the core of my color scheme. Although my starting point was Ethan's palette, as I said earlier, I did have to make a few changes to some of the base colors and styles. To save your own color schemes, once you have everything set up the way you want it, just click on this menu here and choose Export. You also use this menu when you want to import color schemes as well. I'll be putting a link in the description for my Solarized color scheme if you'd like to download the XML file and use it for your engraving projects. Another workflow setting that I like to configure is to increase the matching item highlighting time. To get there, come back up to Edit, Preferences, and click on Editor Preferences. Right now the default value is 1 second, and that's just a little too quick for me. Let me show you what this option does. If you have a lot of code and you want to quickly see a block of code, like where it begins and where it ends, you can click on one of the curly brackets and it will highlight the other matching one for you, like this. You may have noticed as I clicked around that it does highlight the matching items on screen, but it's a little too quick, so I find that just increasing this option by 1 second makes a pretty big difference. Now when I click around my score, it gives me that extra little window of time. The last setting I'll be showing you today is how to configure your log file. In an earlier video, we talked about the auto-engrave feature, and you may remember that when you select this, by default, every change you make in your score will be automatically engraved and displayed in the music view. This saves you from having to grab the mouse, come up here, and click the engrave button, or constantly spamming the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-M. To give you an example, let's say I wanted to start adding some notes to the soprano line here. Watch the music view carefully, but also pay close attention to what happens in the log file while I'm typing. two things happened, right? We saw the log file refresh several times, and also the score in the music view refreshed with the new notes, giving us a near real-time preview of how our score is looking as we input. If you don't want to see the log react like that every time you make a change, maybe you don't want to have it constantly reloading with every change you make, all the time during auto-engrave. We have an option to change this. Head back to Edit Preferences. Under Tools, you can hide automatic engraving jobs in the log. To see what happens now when you edit your score, let's try inputting some notes. You'll notice over here, as I make changes to the pitches, the notes will appear and disappear. But more importantly, the log won't auto-refresh anymore. Now the log will reload, however, every time you hit Ctrl-M or manually come up here and hit Engrave. So that wraps up all I wanted to cover in this video. These are my top 3 workflow tweaks when using Frescobaldi. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.